Today on In the Woodyard, people want wood. Let's take it to them. Here we go. So the first thing I have to do today is I have a person that called me a little while ago and they say they are going to die unless they get firewood. They said it's cold in their house and they need wood. It's a new customer and he was joking. He just said we're supposed to be getting some really cold weather coming up the next few days. And he said that he's new to the area, new to his house, and he said he's got a fireplace and he would really like to be able to have a nice warm fire this weekend. So I'm going to take him a face cord right now and get that delivered. And then I think I've got one more delivery either today or tomorrow, and I think I'm going to load that into the truck. Either way, I'm going to get it loaded so that I can either take it today if the guy calls me back. He said either today or tomorrow he'd be home, so that I'll get it loaded up and I can either take it now or I'll take it tomorrow morning to him. And then after that, I've got a good part of the rest of the day available, at least 3-4 hours. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I could cut wood. Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll cut wood. That'd be a good idea. So maybe we'll start the saws up and I'll make some sawdust. That would be fun. Or I could stack some wood. Or I could split wood. I don't know. Stick around. We'll see what happens. Let's load some wood. So here's the wood that I am going to load up into the truck. This is the last of a full cord that was here. There was 2 other rows that I delivered probably yesterday. I think I delivered, yeah, because it was a full cord, and I got 2 here and then 1 from over there. I'm gonna take off the plastic, and this, like I've mentioned before, I'll show this again. I put, you know, obviously sometimes I use tarps, sometimes I use plastic, sometimes I use tins, whatever, but this was on top of here. I'm gonna show you if I don't put plastic on top, the wood that's on top will turn into what I always call a wood sickle, like you've seen. But look at this one here. So I'd show you this. All of this would have ended up inside the wood because it melts from the top when the sun hits it on days that, you know, in the, say, the 20s, 30s, you'll get it where it melts and it goes down into the wood. And because it's shaded in there and it's colder in there, all this ice would end up in the wood in the form of a wood sickle. So that's why I put the plastic on. And I've been suggested by a few guys, you know, why don't you get a backpack blower and blow the snow off? Well, this is, a lot of the snow we get is the heavy packy kind, and then it freezes. You can't blow it off. So what I do as I go with these rows is I just keep flipping the plastic back, or the tarp back, and I just kind of work it to the side, and then there's a gap in between the next row here. So I just give it a shove like this, and it goes down in between. So it goes down in between, and a lot of the snow just goes down to the back. So this is fairly dry and doesn't have a lot of snow on it. So this row is going in the truck now. So another reason that I don't use a backpack blower to blow off the snow is I have hundreds of cords of wood, like a couple hundred full cords, and some of the piles are individual face cords or third of a cord rows. I have just hundreds of them. It would take me all day to try to blow the snow off, and we get on average minimum of 15 to as many as 25 snowfalls a year here in Wisconsin. It just keeps adding up. Yes, sometimes it'll snow, it'll melt away, snow will melt away, but it builds up, and it would just be ridiculous to try to do all that extra work just to blow a little bit of snow off and put a tarp on it and just roll it off as I need. So now we're going to load this puppy up and we're going to go deliver it. There it is. It is loaded and it's ready to go to its new home. Someday, historians are going to look back at all the loads of wood that I have, you know, stacked, cut, split, loaded, delivered, and they're going to say, he's like a Renaissance man. he probably should have been named Da Vinci, because every load I create is very equal to the Mona Lisa, I think. But that's just me. So when I was doing this load, I found something which I find very often. When I'm going through these piles, a lot of times I will find yellow jacket hornets in the wood, hibernating basically. They're just tucked in there, and it seems like almost every pile I go into I find one or two of them. Yesterday I found two, and of course I just kill them all the time. But this one I did not kill. And the reason I didn't kill it is I want to show you and talk about it. So here she is. And I'm saying she because I believe it is a she. Because when they are at the end of the summer, they feed and make new queens for the next year. At least this is what I was told by a person who's a very smart person who went to lots of years of college. And they're not is it called, an entomologist? That's a person that studies bugs. And he was telling me that the ones that are raised at the end of the year, they fatten them up, make them bigger, and then they're actually bred by a male. And then these females are next year's new queens. So I believe this is a queen. It does have a bigger abdomen, and I find lots of them that are oversized. They're bigger than the normal hornet. And what happens, at least that's what I was told, is they go individually and they hibernate, and then in the spring right away they come out and they start a colony because they already have been bred. So there's supposedly babies in there. And he told me, he said, if you want to kill lots of hornets, do it in the wintertime. So that's what's going to happen. So it is alive. You can see it does move just a little bit when I touch it, but it's pretty cold because it's only like 20 degrees today. But there she is. And listen to this. There, I crunched her with my bare hands. Oh, and she didn't like it. She's kind of wiggling around, but I'm just going to separate her from the abdomen here. So there we go. Look at that. She's moving a little bit. I'm crunching her the rest of the way. So there we go. Dead hornet. And by doing that, I feel better about it because I do not like hornets. If you saw the video I did this summer, I killed lots of them. I vacuumed them out of a hive. So if you want to see that, go back. I think it was towards the end of summer. But hopefully that will stop more hornets from breeding and growing. So I would say in the wintertime, it's not unusual for me to kill dozens of them in the wood piles as I go, because you see them right away. They're just laying there all tucked up like that. I crush every single one of them. Now we're going to go deliver this wood. Well, I'm back from my delivery and I made an executive decision. I made a conference call with the board of trustees, that would be me, and I had decided it's chainsaw time. It warmed up quite a bit today. It's about 30 degrees. In the next few days, it's supposed to get in single digits, so it's about as good as it's gonna get. So I'm gonna head over to the pile of oak over there and we're gonna do some chainsaw action. Here we go. I've got saws and I've got wood. Right here is the pile, and I've got about 3 hours, I think, till dark, maybe 2.5. If I really get cutting fast, I might be able to finish this pile. The good news is, I mean, this is really good news. One of my very good customers, Mark, you're watching, I know you are. This is your wood. He buys about 8 face cords a year from me, and I already delivered him 2 that's ready for burning now. But he said this wood he likes to buy a year in advance, and this is all barkless oak, so a lot of this is going to be dry right now. Some of it I can see, like this is a solid one here. Here's a solid one, but this down here you can tell that one's going to be dry on the inside. This one will be dry on the inside. This one's all cracked. This will probably be dry. That's probably dry. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it now, I'm going to migrate it this direction as I cut. So I'm just going to throw it over here. And so I'll work my way into the pile. And then what I'm going to do is he wants to buy this for next year. So I can split it a little bit bigger, and it's going to sit until this time next year, and he's going to burn it then. But he wants to buy 2 more full cords. That's 6 face cords. So there's way more than that in here. So this is going to be his wood. So what I'm going to do, cut it, split it, and I'm not even going to stack it. I'm going to throw it right into the dump trailer when I split it. I'm going to take it to him, and then we're going to stack it right at his place. We'll just tip the trailer up and then we'll stack it. So you'll see that coming up probably in the next, I don't know, 3, 4, or 5 days, something like that, when I get to splitting it, because he told me he's ready whenever. So that's what this wood is for. This is going to him. So here's your wood, Mark, right here. I'm about to make it into chunks, and then I'm going to split it and I'll bring it. So it's time to get cutting. So this is something I don't talk about, but I'm going to talk about it now because I can. This way that I fill my saws up all the time with oil and gas is I try to do the same routine all the time. What I like to do is I run 3 saws a lot, and I will get them all ready to go sharpen them and then fill them up with oil and gas. And so I sharpen them first. A lot of times I'll check the air cleaners, make sure they're, you know, clean and ready to go. And I always try to put the oil in first. And the reason I do that is that I'd rather run out of gas than oil on the chainsaw. And I know this is probably nothing new to a lot of you guys who are big time cutters, but I'm okay with running out of gas. Like if I forget to put gas in it, but I don't want to put gas in it and then get distracted and forget to put oil in it and then go cut, you know, a tank of gas and then have the saw, you know, get super hot and start smoking and not have any bar oil. So I usually, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I try to make sure that I put the oil in first and then I put the gas in. So, and that just seems to work most of the time. I do it that way. If there's anything even coming out of here, there we go. She's going in now. This can is, I should have just about enough to fill these 3 saws in this tank. This gas can will be empty. I try not to have them overflow and spill, but it does happen occasionally. I do like this can. I've mentioned this before. As all the gas cans I've ever used, this is by far my favorite. This push button. You can just push the button and that's what opens up the valve so it can flow, and it works really well. So this is the one I like the most, and it's a 2.5 gallon can. So when I mix my oil with the gas, it's 2 gallon mix, so it's never totally full, but 2 gallons at a time. And I have 2 of these, so when I go to get gas, I usually fill both of them at the same time. And then I've got 2 gallon cans for when I go cut. And like in a day of full cutting, you might go through 1 gallon, maybe a little more than that. That's a lot of cutting for those of you that cut a lot, you know. There they are. They're oiled up, gassed up, sharpened up. It's cutting time. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is, this is the order that I like to do my getting prepared to cut. I put my earplugs in right away, because the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start up one of the saws, and then I'm going to let it run while I put my chaps and helmet on, so it runs for about a minute, because you want your engine to warm up. You don't ever want to start it up and just start cutting when it's cold, especially, because it's really not good for the saw. So I'm going to start with my oldest saw here first. I generally start with the old one. But there we go. It is on. Come on, I know you want to. So I'll let that warm up while I put my chaps and my helmet on. I'll let it run for a minute or so. Now, these saws are stored inside of my business. So they're always like 5
give them a whack and roll them.
So as you can see, the pile over there grows, the pile over here shrinks. I'm less than halfway, and I ran through 2 tanks of gas already. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the cant hook right over there, and I'm going to take these logs and roll them down. My first saw cut okay, and then I hit the ground. Probably the last half of it, so I wasn't cutting very good. And then my first saw started out just unbelievably sharp. It was just ripping. And I hit the ground after about halfway. So I was struggling on the last half of both of those tanks. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to roll these logs down. Now this cant hook I got, it's a Woodchuck brand. Some of you have seen this before. There it is, Woodchuck. This has a removable tip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off. I'll show you how it works. I'm going to take this part off, the bottom leg here, the front leg. It's just a little pin here you pull. There you go. So, gotta put the pin back in so I don't lose it here. Because when you're trying to roll logs, you don't want this. But this works excellent for stuff that's on the ground and you want to roll it and lift it so you can cut it, or if it's frozen in, it's really nice to pry it off the ground. So I'm not going to finish like I wanted to today. I had a little nature call. It took a while, and then when I got done with that, I had a phone call, and that took, I don't know, 20 minutes. So daylight's burning. I only got maybe a half hour tops of daylight left, of good daylight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up here and start on this one. That works nicely. Sometimes I can just take the point and give it one of these. Basically, you don't want to be on that side. Anywhere off to the side is good. And then if I get one here that I know I can see is just barely going to give it a little roll. And then I'll come down to small ones like this. Give them a little shove. They're all pretty locked in now. It's pretty simple. So there, now those are safe to cut. So I'm going to start up the third saw now, and we're going to cut some more. Here we go again. There's the day's carnage. Didn't get nearly as much done as I wanted to. I wanted to finish the pile. I got a little more than halfway, but all 3 saws ran fine, but it hit the ground or hit a rock or some sod or something about halfway through with every single one. I was fighting them the last half, but all 3 tanks I got used up, so I got to go sharpen and tune up the saws a little bit, clean them up. Yeah, I got at least half of it, a little more than half probably. So here's what's left. And I will finish that hopefully tomorrow or the next day, depending on how cold it is out here. And I want to get this stuff split and delivered, because this wood right here, like I said, is going to Mark, and this is next year's wood for him. So I'm going to leave it in bigger chunks, and a lot of it is dry already. Some of it is 50% dry as I was looking. Like here, you can see this one. If you look right here, this is a good example. Everything from here on to about here, this is all dry. You can see it's cracked in how light color this is, but this core right here, this is still wet. So if I split this into quarters, it'll be ready to go probably in a couple months. It'll be dry because it's basically dry already. Here's another one. You can see it's dry from here to there. That's like about 4 or 5 inches all the way around, and this little core center is a little bit wet. So a lot of it's I'll be able to split some chunks off and burn it right away or sell it right away, because there's more than he needs here. Because I just cut, boy, if I had to guess, I don't think I cut 2 full cords, less than that, because saws were dull, they weren't cutting very fast. So there it is. So tomorrow you should come back, because I think I'm either going to cut the rest of this or do some splitting or do some of both. But come on back tomorrow, it'll be fun. Between now and then, get outside, get cutting. Good night, Irene.